𝓤𝓪𝓻𝓫. Thank you guys so much for joining me here for your reading. Let me just get comfortable for this one, okay? This is definitely going to be kind of I don't want to say long overdue topic, but it is definitely something that needs to be spoken about, especially at this moment in the space-time continuum that you intersect with these ripples that being sent out. So we're going to be talking about the construct of this matrix and also the inversions that happen here in terms of inversions of love. Okay, so this has been a huge topic of discussion. So we're definitely going to be talking about this. And the first thing that I want to mention in regards to the inversions of love is it being a deeply, not just important, but also poetic topic of discussion, where it refers to authentic, soul-aligned decisions that you make while navigating this construct, and how those expressions of love can really just be distorted. And they can be flipped. They can be actually rooted in artificial fear-based decisions, where it's almost like love is something that transcends the material plane. Therefore, it transcends the physical, and it's a unified force. Okay, and there's something around seeking that unity externally or outside of yourself. Really represents the lack of unity that you have with everything that you already are, which is you already being a whole being. It's almost like seeking that unified, intangible force externally and neglecting the unified, intangible force that you are. Okay, so that's like a huge energy that's coming through as well. But yeah, this is the matrix, right? It's a construct, and it's to perpetuate control just through the separation of illusion. And true love is detachment in the way where you can observe the interconnectedness in this intangible force that flows through everyone, right? God's circumference extends everywhere, but also nowhere at the same time, right? It's endless, and it's being able to see source experiencing itself through everyone. Whether these fractals of awareness are totally conscious of themselves or not, true love is to see the interconnectedness in all things and to not attach to that. It reminds me of the quote of, there's some kind of quote, and it talks about, if you admire the flower and you love the flower, you wouldn't pick the flower because you know that if you pick the flower, you'll kill it, right? And there's that type of energy where it's like you can really admire this experience. You can also admire the flower that you've blossomed into, which I'm seeing as your higher self in physical form, when you come back into the remembrance of your interconnectedness to all things, and not separate yourself from that, right? So this matrix is an artificial laboratory for the purpose of soul growth and evolution of consciousness. It's a frequency grid that is constructed based upon societal norms, right? And structures based upon fear or love. That's what it comes down to, because we're here to experience contrast, polarity for the purpose of soul growth. And it can be very easy to fall into the illusion of separation while navigating this construct, just because there is so much contrast and polarity that we experience. It's an interdimensional plane, right? Which means that we're experiencing many dimensions, which are just many frequencies while operating in this system. And we're kind of filtering through those ego-based survival levels of consciousness, right? And being able to come back into that reunification while being under the illusion of separation, right? It's to remember that interconnectedness before you depart from this experience, and not falling for the illusion of separation by seeking someone or something outside of yourself, right? Or to complete you. So yeah, it's a distortion field. It's a cosmic overlay on the earth, essentially, and it's maintained through traumatic cycles, even like self-created cycles of suffering, unconscious belief systems that we may hold, that we need external validation, permission, praise, acceptance outside of ourselves, where our internal emotional state and harmony is easily disrupted by the external world. The external completely governs our internal state of being. This is where we hold a parasitic belief system within ourselves, because we are paying all of our attention and externalizing our life force, instead of turning back inwards and realizing we are that replenishing organism that can self-sustain itself, that is always connected to source, right? Always connected to God. And it's in that remembrance that you realize that, okay, let's just give an example. Your love is dependent, or your state of being is dependent on receiving external love. And really, unconditional love is to say, you unconditionally accept somebody as they are. You don't try to change them. Not, okay, my emotional state is completely disrupted around if this person gives me attention, or if this person gives me the love that I'm seeking, right? Which is not really love, it's an inversion of it. That's conditioned love. That's what it is. It's saying, I will only be happy when I receive this thing from the external person or thing. No, that's an inversion. Source can give it to you all the time, anywhere, everywhere, all at once. You can give that to yourself. It's about you giving yourself that unconditional love. And this is like energetic manipulation in that way. It's an inversion of the true essence of who you are. And this is about sovereignty, right? Not becoming codependent, but instead stepping into your being a sovereign creator instead of a passive observer seeking something outside of yourself, right? Always passively observing when is that going to happen? And again, like your internal state is not governing the way that you interact with the external. When you come from a place of wholeness, there's no need to seek anything outside of yourself, right? So this is where the system becomes hijacked. It flips into shadow reflections in that way. And there are core inversions of love within this matrix just as a whole, where it's almost like the matrix says in the programmed systems, you are only lovable if you perform, right? You will only be accepted if you provide or suffer. And this breeds codependence. It breeds people pleasing and deep self-abandonment as well, right? Because we abandon ourselves because we change or reduce, or we allow our environment externally in this system to shape us. And it's almost like that quote of know who you are and the illusions of this world. Otherwise, the illusions will begin to shape you, right? So yeah, true love is unconditional. It honors the essence over the output. It's not saying that you are valuable only if you perform. You are only valuable if you receive this amount of praise or recognition, or your value lies within a number, or your value lies on anything in the material plane, right? So yeah, that it's an attachment essentially that's mistaken for love, right? This could be aspects that kind of you entangle your life force with, even if it's subconsciously. That's another energy that's coming through. And you don't need to sacrifice yourself to prove your love to anyone or anything, whether that's sacrificing your harmony, your state of being, your truth, right? Your integrity, which is to seek external acceptance. Instead, become a witness to how whole and sovereign you are within yourself, where you can feel empowered even when invitations come your way to externalize your life force, to seek external acceptance. You can come back to that internal state of acceptance within yourself. And this nurtures your expansion every time you do it. It's how you nurture your soul. It's how you nurture your true state of essence. And then also romantic love, right? Being ultimate fulfillment. That's another misconception. It's like you need to be nurturing, or you need to be compassionate, or you need to be affectionate to like show your love. No, love is actually detachment. Love is unconditional acceptance. Love is to not hyper focus on external romantic unions as the only valid or fulfilling path. Instead, it's where you transcend these kind of wounding loops in a lot of ways. The illusion of even like twin flames in that way, where you need something externally outside of yourself to complete you, right? This is like the karmic bonds. That's essentially what they are. It's unconscious cause and effect. They're actually trauma bonds, and soul love is not limited to romance. It's something that's a unified field of consciousness that's accessible to all beings, right? And it's accessible through all beings as well. So love does not equal control, even with parents or systems that say, I control you because I love you, or power dynamics, right? That happen, that masquerade and kind of play a role of, oh, I care, right? I do this, I try to control you. I don't want you to do this because I care about you, right? I care about your well-being. Well, no, it usually stems from fear, right? Of where your ambition actually may intimidate others. So there's something about being able to observe those distortions that can happen to you. And that's why it's really important to come from an internal place of autonomy and an internal place of not seeking external permission or acceptance before you do anything, right? And reclaiming your love in a way that extends far beyond this matrix, extends far beyond this universe, right? And to awaken within these inversions is to unlearn cultural or karmic distortions around what love is, to deprogram that wounded inner child, right? Throat chakra blockage there. And even like the ego, right? That can crave love as validation, right? You don't need anything externally in the physical plane, right? To show you how expansive and sovereign you are. Love in its true form is not something that we fall into, but it's something that we remember. It's something that we return to, and ultimately we do become, which is to become, I'm hearing collapse back into the still, quiet observer. So yeah, things to reflect on within this is where you can confuse love for safety, control, for validation. And if you ask yourself the question like, am I loving, right, from fullness or from a fear of loss? Say it again. Am I loving from fullness within myself, where I'm a sovereign being, I unconditionally accept and love myself? Or is there a fear of loss? Do you feel like you need something outside of yourself to feel whole? And what would it feel like to love from a place rooted in truth rather than obligation, right? What would love feel like if it was rooted in truth rather than obligation? And I'm hearing this is also in ways that you show up for yourself. Now, we pulled one card. This says Hatha light codes, light immersion, full system upgrade, and power recall. It feels like you're calling your life force back from timelines that you had neglected yourself, timelines in which you, I'm hearing, have even like rejected certain aspects of yourself too. It talks about you really stepping into your sovereignty, into your light, into your service of the world by first of all being able to be of service to yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Conditioned love is saying, I will fill my cup and I will pour it all into you. Or neglecting your own cup because you're so worried about the cups of others being filled so that you can feel fulfilled. And I'm seeing people-pleasing tendencies specifically, where people-pleasing tendencies really stems from fear of abandonment, fear of loss. And it actually comes from an act of self-preservation and selfishness, because you want to be liked, or you want to be accepted, or you want external validation secretly. It comes from a scared child. But when you create from a place of wholeness and not this distortion, you really create in this realm. Your flow of creation can actually flow a lot more freely instead of it being disrupted by internal belief systems that have been reinforced subconsciously. So there's something about understand why you do the things that you do. Is it coming from a place of love, which is wholeness, which is moving with that desire, knowing that you already are that? Or is it an absence? Is it a fear of absence? Is it a fear of loss? Is it a fear of not having? Clinging, holding on to? I'm hearing avoiding, preventing. When you reach a place of your internal state of being is not dependent upon the external stimuli, your emotional state of being is not disrupted, your internal harmony is not disrupted from anything or anyone outside of yourself, you become completely sovereign. And you can step into more aligned, conscious co-creations. So what are you co-creating moving forward? Are you aware of what may come up during this time? How do you want to navigate that? How can you hold space for yourself? Yeah, light codes. Hathor light codes. It reveals a more sacred and aligns you. So, I'm going to pull one card around you real quick. Let's see. Knight of Wands. Okay. Knight of Wands basically talks about you taking inspired action as you make friends with the unknown. You'd be doing something where it's like you're really, honestly, the Knight of Wands moves at such a rate where there's just divinely inspired action that they take in that moment. It's a call for action where they're too busy at the goal at hand, right? And where is it they want to go, that they're not even focused on anything or anyone outside of themselves. They really just zone in and get tunnel vision. And they act, I'm hearing, when the vibration is ripe. And there's something about you coming to a place right now where you're not attaching to how you're going to be perceived. Again, either you're in a state of creation or you're in a state of contraction. Either you're in a state of creation or you're in a state of worried about being perceived. The Knight of Wands is not someone that's worried about how they're going to be perceived. The Knight of Wands is somebody that moves forward into the unknown and they're excited about it because they know their full potential lies on the other side of it. They move authentically. They follow that authentic internal instinct. And their internal voice becomes so clear. One thing you can respect about the Knight of Wands is their internal voice becomes so clear that it pretty much drowns out the noise of others. In fact, they don't even consider seeking external validation, permission, or even confirmation or clarification from anyone outside of themselves. They act. When they have the vision, they act. The way they lead is by example. Literally. The best way to show it with the Knight of Wands is just to do it. Other people witness the things that they do as a result of that. They don't announce their action or what it is they're going to do. They do it. And it usually ends up being a microphone drop moment because they end up going places while others are still seeking permission to do so. They just go and step into rooms. They don't wait for an invitation to you. They show up for themselves. And that's you. Let me see. I'm gonna get one more onto you guys. Let's see. Right? They step into destiny calls, they're answering. They're not saying, oh, let me ask, New career, financial opportunity. This could be something in the early stages of development that you're planting and nurturing. It has a lot of potential for growth though, and so do you. There's some kind of call for action. What are you up to? What are you up to? Because it's definitely about to be witnessed, and it's because you're a witness to how far it is that you've come. Right. I'm going to love any of you guys right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. Would love to have you around. I feel like this is up in the air right now. And it's also like I don't want to really give too much away. But this is what you need to hear at this stage in your journey. So we can appreciate the mystery. Speak to you guys very, very soon. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. I'd love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. And until next time, bye.